afford to gamble. Secure yourself with social security. I said that. Social security. It good, you know.
Social Security, good, you know. It's a monthly program on DBS. We welcome you. The Dominica Social Security, they were not on last month, and no fault of theirs, of course. It was a very busy time, independence season, quite a few outside broadcasts and all of that. But we are happy that they are back with us. Very interesting program again today. I know that you have been learning a lot over the years from the Dominica Social Security. We have this partnership with them for many, many years now. And we continue the third Thursday of every month. Sometimes, depends on what is happening at any given Thursday, we have to make some changes. But we are happy we are here this morning. And I see company in familiar faces in Studio 2. And that's good. Let me go to Studio 2 and welcome my guests. I'll start with the lady. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Ivona. And how are you today?
I'm fine. I still have the flu, but I'm much better today.
And how was the independence season?
Wow, busy.
I know.
Yeah. A lot of outside broadcasts and things to do. But it was okay. It was all right.
Okay, that's great. Well, as usual, it is our pleasure to be back here. As you mentioned earlier, we were not able to make it due to the busy independence season. But again, we are here today to educate the listening public about the Social Security program. And as you mentioned, we have a special guest with us, which we will introduce in a little bit. But we are here today to speak to the tasting the Social Security promise, Ivona. And we know that Social Security is good, you know, as Di said in his jingle a few minutes ago. And so we brought proof with us that Social Security is indeed good. But before we do that, Mr. Etienne will give his introductions.
Tell you have come a very long way, even before we bring on Mr. Etienne. Mr. Etienne, just so you can take a back seat.
You notice. Yes, indeed. Good morning, Ivan. Good morning to the listeners of DBS Radio. And as Mrs. Lloyd indicated, we are pleased to be able to interface with our public every so often because we recognize that the work that we do is very important for the welfare of our people. And to the extent that they understand and appreciate what it is that we do, it will make our work much easier, but it will also ensure that the protection that we are meant to provide for them, they will be able to avail themselves of it. So it's always a pleasure to do this. And we missed last month, but we are happy to be back again today.
And I see you brought company. Who do you have with you?
We have with us Dr. Father Reginald Lafleur, who is, as you know, he's a religious member of the clergy, but he's also one of our satisfied pensioners. And he will give you his story, how he became part of Social Security, and how good the program has been to him as a member. We have a few other persons who we were not able to get on here, but we hope they might be able to call in to give their testimony during the course of the program. So we hope they'll be able to get on, or if not, we might have to be able to call them and just to get their testimony.
Yes. Of course, you provide me the numbers, we call them, we make it happen. Yeah. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ivona.
I'm fine.
Good, I'm fine also.
Yes, you look like a spring chicken today, though.
Always.
Always. That's
the grace of God is in me.
Amen.
Indeed, I'm benefiting from that as well. I've benefited from Social Security as well.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
You have a long story to tell us, right? And I'm
As time goes, we'll
talk about this. And when you consider upon what premise that the Dominica Social Security was built, of course, before it was the National Providence Fund, it's not the Dominica Social Security. But even from the very inception, the agenda was always to be, to help, to provide benefits. And look at where we are now. So I'm very happy that you are on. You'll give your testimonial. You'll encourage people. Because we have had this program, as I said, for a number of years now. But, there are some issues that continue to arise still, Some people do not meet, their end of the bargain, so to speak. And sometimes even employers, So to have a testimonial from someone like you who have benefited tremendously, I think it will empower other people. Yes. Right?
It is.
Yes, indeed. And Ivona, usually when we're on air, you always find pensioners calling to see how good the program is, what difference it has made in their lives, even without us prompting them. But we also feel sometimes useful to get the people, live in studio. And so we've been trying to get them to come on board. And We won a radio program last week, and 2 people were in the studio with us, and a lot of people called to testify to how good Social Security was. So it is not unusual for that to happen, but sometimes we want to hear it from the horse's mouth themselves.
Definitely.
Yes.
And we have short-term benefits, Mrs. Lloyd. We have long-term benefits. Maybe we can go through some of the benefits that the Dominican Social Security provides, and then we will get into the testimony.
So we offer a range of benefits, Ivona, but before that, I just want to highlight what exactly is Social Security, because there are persons out there who still don't understand what is Social Security and why it is so important. So Social Security is a national insurance program that provides income replacement for persons. That is insured persons who are registered and contributing under the program. So we provide income replacement to them when certain risks, or what we term in the legislation as contingencies, happen to them at one point in their life. Then we replace a portion of their income, a percentage of their income, Ivona. And so under the Social Security program, we have 3 categories of benefits that we offer. We have those that we deem as short-term benefits, which are payable for a shorter period of time, usually not exceeding 26 weeks. And under that category, we would have what we refer to as sickness benefits and maternity benefit, as well as a maternity grant that we pay to pregnant mothers upon the birth of their babies. We also have employment injury and related benefits, which are paid to insured persons when they undergo probably some injury at their workplace or they have a work-related illness. And under that category, we have what we call injury benefit, where we replace 60% of their earnings for the duration that they are unwell and have to stay away from work because of that injury. And if that person is still ill as a result of that injury, and they have to be out of work for a longer period of time, exceeding the 26-week period, then they go into disability benefit, which is paid because of that injury that they sustain on the job for an extended period of time. We will pay that benefit for as long as the injury lasts, and they are also eligible to receive medical expenses associated with that injury, such as if they have to do prosthetics, if they have to do therapy and so on. And so we will pay that up to expenses up to $7,000 they can claim for a reimbursement or refund of those expenses that they incur. And if the unfortunate thing happens that that person dies as a result of that injury or that work-related illness that they got on the job, then their eligible dependents can receive what we call a death benefit. And those eligible dependents in the legislation would be a spouse or dependent children who are under the age of 21, unmarried, unemployed, and at school, or in the case of a disabled child, it doesn't matter what the child's age is. If there are no eligible dependents and that person was taking care of a parent or a grandparent while they were alive, that parent or grandparent was dependent on them, and there is no other dependent to get the benefit, the parent who is over the age of 65 or the grandparent can claim for that benefit. So Ivona, we can see already a whole range of benefits that I've mentioned, and I haven't even touched on the long-term aspect of the benefits. These are those benefits that we pay for an extended period of time. More than likely, when we start paying those benefits, we pay that until your death. And Dr. Reginald Lafley is one of our beneficiaries under one of our long-term benefits. That is our age pension that we offer to persons upon the attainment of the pensionable age of 65 years. We also have invalidity benefit that we pay if you are permanently unable to work. You can access this benefit once you meet the required conditions for receipt of that benefit. Survivor's benefit is another of our long-term benefits that we pay to the dependents of insured persons who have passed on Ivona, and they are eligible to receive a survivor's benefit after that contributor to Social Security has died. And in the event of the person's death, the contributor's death, the insured person's death, we also offer a funeral grant to assist with the burial expenses. So there are a whole range of benefits that you can get from Social Security. And it doesn't matter at what point in your life or what stage in your life you are. Once you qualify to get that benefit, we will pay it to you. So you can really see that Social Security is something that is there for you, basically, as we say, from the cradle to the grave. At any stage in your life, there is a benefit to be had while you're working, when you can no longer work, after you have retired, and even after you die, your beneficiaries still get benefit from Social Security.
Interesting. Father Reginald Lafleur, Dr. Reginald Lafleur, let us put your story
Father Reggie is just enough.
into proper context. Proper context. We're listening to all of this, short-term benefits, long-term benefits. You know what the Dominica Social Security stands for.
Good.
But as far as your story is concerned, did you, from the inception, did you make it your duty to find out what the Dominica Social Security is about? Because a lot of people, as Mrs. Lloyd just said, a lot of people that don't, they're not aware really. So just know it's the Dominica Social Security, maybe there are benefits. But did you make it your duty to find out everything about the Dominica Social Security?
I did make it my duty to find out everything about Social Security. I attended every seminar that they were offering to the public. And my journey has been a journey of being self-employed. I registered as a self-employed person, and at the beginning, not many people were very much into the self-employed agenda. But the staff at the Dominica Social Security, people like Mr. Etienne, who is there, Mrs. Jean-Jacques, Mrs. Joanna, John Bertrand, and Anna Ambo, these are no longer with Social Security, but these were the ones who basically encouraged me because I was self-employed, and they were always at me and telling me at every occasion, every year, try to increase the payments that you make so that at the end of it, you'll have a greater benefit. And they worked with me all along. Even when I was on study leave, they also encouraged me and ensured that I paid my contributions regularly. And for that, I got 3 awards from Social Security for always paying on time and being consistent and so forth. So it has really, really benefited me. I'm also one who also benefited from sick. I had eye surgery on 2 occasions, and on both occasions, Social Security paid my salary whilst I was on sick leave. So I am really grateful to the Dominica Social Security, and I would like to encourage all those who are out there who may be self-employed or otherwise employed elsewhere to continue to make their contribution to Social Security. Because as the ad said, it good, man. It's really good,
It good,
Yes.
What is the reception like from the team, the DSS team? So if you have a question, you may call or you may go, in person. How do you get treated?
Excuse me?
How do you get treated? If you go to the Dominica Social Security with a question, with a concern or whatever, or you may call, do you like this rapport that that you have with them?
Yes, I do. And I still have the rapport with them, although now I am retired and receiving my benefits. I still have a rapport with them. I still ask them questions, I also ask them questions about locals who are probably overseas and we have been paying Social Security. What is the situation now with them? Mm-hmm. How do they continue, if at all, to contribute to the Social Security system? So a lot of the encouragements that I had came from the staff itself. Because at the beginning, self-employment was not on the agenda. It came in a bit later on the agenda. And so because of this, they really encouraged me. And I remember one other person was also self-employed, and they always encouraged that person towards Kelvin Francis, right? And they would say to both of us, that you all are self-employed and you all the ones paying the highest contributions, And all of this gave you a boost, and you wanted to continue to pay your contribution to Social Security. In particular, after I fell ill and I had my eye surgery and they paid for my benefits, that in itself was a big boost for me, big encouragement, It even made me wanted to do more. Mm-hmm. The only regret I have is that I didn't pay enough. I felt I should have paid much more contribution. So now I've been benefiting even much more, 10 times as much, So that's my only regret with Social Security. So I want to encourage the public out there, especially self-employed persons. They do not like to pay Social Security. They tell you all kind of stories, but from my own experience. I want them to learn from that experience and let them know that as a self-employed person, I have benefited, I am still benefiting, and as long as the Lord gives me a long life, I will continue to benefit. And when I talk to the staff of the Social Security, they say to you, what you are benefiting in the long term is much more than what you have put into the system already, and that is so true. I've been receiving benefits for the last 10 years, and within the last 10 years, I'm certain I've got much more than what I put into the Social Security system. So I just want to encourage listeners out there to be active as far as the Social Security is concerned.
Augusta City, and herein lies a powerful testimonial. That's a
Indeed.
success story there.
Indeed. And almost always, you get out from the system much more than you put in. Even if you just compare the percentages that are involved. Everything is done as a percentage of an earning. You're working and you're earning a certain level of salary, and you pay contributions as a percentage of that earning. And the contribution, the earnings on which you pay contributions are the same earnings on which your benefits are calculated. So at the moment, we are collecting 14.5% of people's earnings. And when they receive benefit, we pay in the short term 60% of their earnings. And in the long term, between 30 and 60% of those earnings. So by the mere dint of the percentages that you get out of the system, you can already see that for me to pay one person 60% as a pension, I have to collect contributions from three people, no, four people at 15% to be able to pay one person their pension. So
Go back over this again.
I'm saying we're collecting at the moment 14.5% of people's earnings as contributions this year, 2025. 14.5% of whatever your earnings are, subject to the maximum of $7,000 a month. And we're paying benefits at the rate of 30% in the short term for sickness, maternity, 60% for sickness, maternity, and employment injury. And in the long term, we pay between 30 and 60% of those earnings. And I'm saying to be able to pay one person a benefit at 60%, I need to collect contributions from a minimum of 4 people to be able to pay that one. So, but the experience has been at Social Security that when we pay a person a pension, especially for those who qualify at the lower rate, because their earnings would have been smaller, they would not have contributed for a long period. Within 2 to 3 years of receiving that pension, they get back every dollar that they would have contributed during their working life, and their payments continue until death do us part.
Okay,
And
just
even,
stick a pin there. Let's see if this person wants to share with us. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hi.
Okay, good morning to you, Ivuna, and your guests,
good morning,
and
caller.
listeners of DBS Radio. Mr. Etienne, that's Observer here.
Yes, sir. How are you?
All right, I'm good. How are you doing?
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let me just share a little thing that I think is very important. Okay, it is nice to hear the different benefits that the Social Security offers. Everybody knows that once you join the Social Security, you are going to receive the benefits. But you know something I would like to hear you put some emphasis on is, we all know that the majority of people who are going to benefit from Social Security, they more look for the end time, meaning that the retirement part of the Social Security. Now, what is very significant, and when we did the training with the union, when you did the training first with the union, what that stuck with me the most and was most significant was how can people who retire continue to live the standard of life that they used to live before. And I want you to use an example, let's say, of $1,000 and break it down as to how they can continue to live the life. Because, for example, when you did the training, you told us that Social Security provides 60% of what a person used to earn before they retire. But if they used to live with 100%, what they need at retirement is around 80%. But Social Security is going to provide 60%.
Up to.
And then the other 20% is supposed to come from somewhere. This is what I want you to pay a little attention to, please.
Well,
Thank you.
You paid attention, boy. Thank you. Okay, so very good point. And something that we recognize that we need to do too is to promote the idea of retirement planning and preparing for retirement. And that workshop makes reference to what's to do with that the PSU had organized for its members. So Social Security happens to be the main pillar of people's retirement income in Dominica, because the state has put that system in place to allow people to contribute to it while they're working and earning, so that they can get a pension when they retire at the end of their working lives. The experts in the field have determined that in order for someone to live comfortably in retirement, they will need to have access to at least 80% of their pre-retirement income. As I said a while ago, Social Security promises to pay up to 80%, and I said up to because it's not everybody, up to 60%. It's not everybody who will qualify for 60%. The rate starts at 30% if you make 10 years of contributions cumulatively, or 500 weeks of contributions, and that is increased by 1% for every year above the first 10 years, or for every 50 contributions you make above the first 500. So that means that the longer you contribute for, or the higher the number of contributions you will have accumulated during your working life, it is the higher the percentage of your pre-retirement earnings you will receive as your pension. The calculation of the pension, when you qualify for pension, we pay you a percentage, as I described, based on the total number of contributions you will have accumulated, having gotten 52 or 53 contributions for every full year you paid, and the number of years that you would have paid for will determine how many you would have accumulated. So with 500 contributions after 10 years, you qualify for 30%, and that 30% is increased by 1% for every 50 above that first 500, and it can go up to 60%. So the point about how much you contribute on and how much you receive, self-employed persons, for example, whereas employers know exactly how much they pay them every month, and they deduct and pay contributions on what they actually make, self-employed persons and voluntary contributors as well, they declare to us an earning on which they wish to pay contributions, and the earnings on which they choose to pay contributions are the same earnings on which their pensions will be based. The important point is that if you're earning $5,000 a month and you declare to us you're making $2,000 a month just to pay small contributions, you are shooting yourself in the foot, because when you get to retirement, your lifestyle when you lived and when you were working was based on a salary of $5,000, and the benefit that we will pay you will be based on a salary of $2,000. Even if you qualify for the maximum, 60% of $5,000 would be $3,000, 60% of $2,000 would be $1,200. So that if you choose to declare small earnings to us, as a result of which you will pay small contributions, you shortchange in yourself. You will get small benefit as well.
Interesting. The higher the number.
And that is what the staff at the Dominica Social Security encouraged me to do. At the end of every year, they will say to me, increase and your earnings, because in the long term, it will be beneficial to you. And
sometimes you don't see it because you're working, you don't see it.
Yeah.
But testimonials like this should encourage you to do this. The higher the number of contributions, as you said, it's in your accumulated during your working life, is the higher you will receive upon retirement.
Yes. And a lot of people ask how many contributions I need to have to qualify.
Just stick up in there again. We really want to hear from the people.
Yes.
Okay, we lost that one. Go ahead.
Yes. People always ask how many contributions I need to make for me to qualify for a pension. At the moment, it is 500, and they say, okay, how many do I have? I have 450, so I need 50 more. Go ahead.
Okay, let's take that caller. Hi, good morning. Hello.
Hello, morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hello, morning.
Yes,
good morning,
hi.
Good morning, caller.
Men calling today, that's very good.
Yes, Miss Jean-Jacques is in the house.
No, she's not there. We have Augustus Etienne in the house. We have Mrs. Lloyd as well.
Okay, well, to everybody that is there, the Social Security system is a very good system, because after you work hard and then now you expect a return in future. But what I'm saying is that every 3 years that they give you, we are little something. I mean, that's not enough. We need a little more. And what I suspect is that the longer people live, is through Social Security will be paying more money to pensioners. And if the people and them do live long, the Social Security will be benefiting that. So the funeral grant at $3,400, that cannot even buy a court for you. You understand what I mean? And then remember, if the person now don't have other bills to put the rest to buy pay the cost and the funeral expenses, what's going to happen? Whether the government or whether the Social Security will come in, because why? If the person lives long, and then they will benefit more. Well, if we're not getting a profit, is that if let us suppose I reach 90 years, is rather I want to love a married to a lady with 40 years to able to benefit the half of what the Social Security will be giving me. So I believe the Social Security must do better than that. And finally, the Social Security is really paying earlier, to be honest, very early. But we have a problem that when the Social Security wire the money into the National Bank taking time to send it in the credit union, and where the credit union now, that is where the problem people came. So I believe you all must step up to that. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks for your contribution. Come in, Mr. Etienne. Come in, Kamasha.
Thank you, caller.
Okay, I just want to highlight, based on two things the caller said, he spoke about the funeral grant not being adequate. And when Social Security is doing anything, we normally do our background checks and information and so on. And so we would have gone around with the funeral homes and so on to get from them the cost of a basic funeral. And I've wondered if the funeral grant that we pay is not meant to replace what you spend on a funeral. It's meant to assist with the expenses associated with burying that individual. And the funeral homes told us back when we increased. How long ago did we increase?
I think we increased every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
And two increases ago, when we increased it to 3,000, the funeral homes on island had confirmed that $3,000 could meet the cost of a basic funeral.
Correct.
And the actuary has recommended that every 3 years you increase that by $200. So it's gone up to 3,200. It's gone up to 3,400 now.
So our last increase in March of 2025 brought it up to $3,400, and that is the cost of a basic funeral. If you choose a casket, you choose based on your taste and what you want. Obviously, the cost of the funeral will increase. But the funeral grant is not meant to replace what you spend, but to assist with the funeral expenses associated with burying that individual. And another thing the caller mentioned, Ivoda, in terms of what you get in from the system, what you get out from the system. And we want to highlight that everything that we pay, what you put into the system, that is what you get out. And on more than one occasion, when we check, we would have seen that pensioners particularly would have received far more from the system than what they put into the system. In terms of self-employed persons, as Dr. Lafley indicated, you have control over what you contribute to the Social Security program because you determine what you want to contribute on. You have control over your salary. It's not like an employee who has an employer to say that they pay you X amount at the end of the month, and so we calculate the contributions based on that. The self-employed persons actually can tell us how much they earn. And what happens in most occasions, the self-employed persons, because they don't want to pay a lot of contributions, they declare small earnings and to pay small contributions. But you need to realize that when you pay small earnings and small contributions on small earnings, you will get small benefit at the end of the day. And because we have seen that in retirement, you need at least 80% of your income, Ivona, Social Security cannot give you more than 60%. And for you to get that 60%, that means you have to contribute for as long as possible to get the 60% that we give you at retirement. So this 20% needs to come from somewhere else. So you as the individual, you need to determine whether you are adequate. Is 60% enough to take care of you in retirement? And we'll see that it is not enough because you need to make as close as possible to the earnings you were earning before you retired for you to live comfortable in retirement.
Father Reggie, you know that all too well. I'm sure this resonates with you.
Yes, it does, because that is what I did. And again, thanks to the staff at the Dominica Social Security At all times, every year, I would have a meeting with them, and they would look at my payments and then tell me, no, you need to increase it. You need to improve it so that in the long run you will benefit. And then now today I see the fruit of the labors, when they were encouraging me at the time. And I'm very happy that they did. And, and I also like to tell self-employed people out there to do the same as I did.
So whether it's just a $50 you can put to increase.
No, it was more than 50.
I'm just saying. But we have someone on the line. Let's just see what this person wants to share. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Ivona.
Gentleman. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hi.
I just called to compliment Social Security for doing a good job so far. Because I'm saying, have it not been, after God is Social Security to me. Because Social Security is doing very good at the moment. And let me say, is my suggestion that Social Security should increase on the penalty for people who work and they don't pay the Social Security for them, because it is a dread system. When you reach a certain age and you only find out that where you was working never pay Social Security for you. So it is all left to Social Security to know how they deal with these people, because that is malicious, that is wicked, and it's not good for anyone. Okay? So I am saying Social Security should do something to talk about those things a little more.
Well, they're always talking about it, they are on every month for many, many years now. They are on. But go ahead. Go ahead, it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I personally believe when somebody works, the person works for you for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, and you never pay for them. Okay, so they live in all living on Social Security, and if I don't pay, obviously I cannot get money from Social Security. I cannot force them. I cannot take them to court. So it is all left to you all, Social Security, to make a decision as to whether them people pay more when they catch them doing that.
Okay, Colin. That's why we encourage contributors, insured persons, to make period inquiries at the office to determine whether their contributions are being paid, and if they are not being paid, for us to take action while it is early to get those contributions. If you work somewhere for many years and you just presume your contributions are being paid, don't check. You may find out when you come to apply for a benefit that all of your contributions have not been paid. And although you might qualify for something because some contributions are in the system, you will not be receiving the full value of your contributions because all of it would not have been recorded. So we encourage insured persons to periodically check to ensure that their contributions are being paid. The gentleman, the caller before, made reference to the increasing the benefit.
Okay, caller, that's it, right? I think you're still on. That's it?
Okay, then.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. The fact that we increase pensions every 3 years and to increase by more. Well, that is the thing. People can always do with more, and that is why it is important for us to ensure that all of our contributions are paid. And for self-employed persons, that they pay contributions on earnings that, as closely as possible, approximate or resemble what they actually make. Don't just declare an earning just to pay small contributions, but declare earnings that are close to what you make, so that when you get a benefit, the benefit will make sense, because the benefit will be approximating what you were used to living on. So the fact that we give every 3 years an increase is to what you call index the pension, to sort of try to restore the purchasing of the dollar that would have been eroded by cost of living increases over time, inflation. So we may not increase it to the full extent that inflation has gone up, but at least we're giving some adjustment to compensate for the loss in the purchasing power of the pension that you would have enjoyed since you received it. I want to do an intervention here to speak about and to advise, to inform, and to be pleased in doing so, the public about where we are with the processing and payment of our short-term benefits. You know, earlier this year, people were up in arms, and there was a lot of negative comments on social media about the delay people were experiencing in accessing their short-term benefits. I am happy to report today that that situation is a thing of the past. As we speak today, our claims department are actually processing short-term claims that were received last week and even earlier this week, Monday, Tuesday. that they are currently processing those claims, that people who make a claim for sickness, maternity, or employment injury benefit will not have to wait several months before their payments are made. But I need to make the point too that when they receive the medicals from the doctors and they submit it to the employers need to make sure they submit those claims to us in a timely fashion. Some employers keep those claims for months, and the employees inquire, I have been on sick leave for how long, I went back to work, and I haven't gotten paid yet, and sometimes that claim has not reached our office yet. In doing so, I want to commend the staff of the claims department for having done whatever was necessary to get us to that point, and to also acknowledge publicly the effort, the support of other members of staff from other departments who lent support over the last few months to help us to get to that point. So if there is anyone who has been on sick leave for some time in the past and you think your benefit has not been processed and paid, you need to check the office to ensure that the claim did in fact reach us, and to find out what's the status, because you might think you were on sick leave in June and up to now you haven't gotten paid, but if the claim hasn't reached us yet, we cannot do anything about it. So if you were sick sometime earlier, and you think you have not gotten paid, but you need to check your bank account as well to see that the money has not reached there. You need to check the office, because as it is now, our staff are working on claims that came in earlier this week. And we are very pleased for that, and then we're hoping that with this we will stay. That is the ideal position to be in, that as the claims come in, they can be processed and people can receive their benefits in a timely fashion. Sickness short-term benefits come in on a daily basis, and we process them in the order in which they come in. Every day claims come in, every day we process in claims, every week we pay in claims. Pensions, once we establish your pension at the particular point in time, we continue to pay you for as long as you live. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of the cycle, whether you're getting paid fortnightly or monthly. But for short-term claims, it is as we receive it, when we receive it, that we process and pay. So if it is not received on time, and even if you want sick leave in May, and we received it in September, and a person was in sick leave in August, the person who was in sick leave in August, whose claim came in earlier than yours, would get paid before yours, even if you want sick leave earlier. It's dependent on when the claim reaches us, because we process them in the order in which they are received.
Tell us again, what's the average insurable earnings for the sickness benefits for temporary incapacity because of illness?
Okay, so what we pay, the benefit that we pay is at the rate of 60% of the person's average earnings for the period that they are sick. So you are a monthly paid worker. If you're sick for an entire month, you will qualify for 60% of your monthly salary. If you are sick for 2 weeks in a month, whatever 2 weeks of your salary would represent, you would get 60% of that. It can be difficult for you to understand if you're just sick for a few days. But we count the number of days. We calculate your weekly rate of pay based on your monthly salary. We calculate a daily rate of pay, and we pay you 60% of your daily rate of pay for the number of days that you are sick. Counting from Monday to Saturday, we exclude Sundays in the process. So if you are sick over a period of 2 weeks, the Sunday in the middle will not be counted, but we'll pay you from the start date to the end date, excluding Sundays. Those number of days, 60% of your salary for those number of days that you are declared sick.
Interesting.
In terms of what Ms. Satan was saying earlier, Ivona, about the sickness benefits, to note too that where persons have multiple employers, there's some persons who have more than one employer and they are sick for a period of time, you need to submit a medical from both employers. And your claim can only be processed upon receipt of both medical certificates from all of your employers. There are instances where one employer may submit a medical and the other one has not submitted it or failed to submit it for whatever reason. To reiterate that we need the medicals from all employers, because you cannot be sick for one employer and not for the other. So if you are out on medical, the doctor gives you a medical certificate, you need to ensure that you get one for each of your employers, submit it to each employer, and each employer needs to send in that medical to Social Security.
Father Reggie, I'm sure you'll agree that, when there are benefits that are designed to provide financial protection, and support, in hard times, this is a plus for anyone.
It is indeed a plus, yes, And in regards to Social Security, remember I said my starting point was as a self-employed person. And then I can say with Social Security I've had a few firsts. I was perhaps among the first person to be receiving a pension as a self-employed person. also first person to receive sick benefit as a self-employed person as well, And because at the time, not many people really were interested in being self-employed and paying Social Security contributions. But I saw the wisdom and the insight into that. And so therefore, that is why I really went all the way and did as I was prompted by the staff from the Dominica Social Security. And as I said, today it has benefited me, and I'm still continuing to benefit from it after 10 years.
Do you see, Augustus Etienne or Mrs. Lloyd, like many more self-employed people coming forward to the Dominica Social Security as opposed to maybe say the last 5 years? Do you see an increase, or is it still, relatively the same?
Historically, a lot of people have come forward to register. They still come and register. They need to get a card, and that is why right now we're being hard and fast that the card is not just for you to be able to do transactions other places. More important than being able to do transactions is to pay the contribution so that, like Dr. Lafleur, you can in fact get a benefit at the end of the day. There are people who register moons ago. They have a Social Security card. They probably never paid a single contribution, or they started paying a few and they stopped. And they have a card that they're flashing around. They can go and do business and whatever. Some of them actually coming now to renew the card because they've had it for many years. But no contributions on record. A person like that ought not to have had a card to begin with, because what the card signifies is that you are a registered contributing member of the system. And for you to have a card for how many years, not paying a single contribution, at the end of the day, the card is not going to be worth anything to you, because what the card should signify to you is that I am a contributing member that have access to benefits when I have a need. And it is not the registration that gives you access to the benefit. It is the payment of contributions. It is the accumulation of contributions over time that gives you access to the different benefits that are available. And very importantly, very significantly, in the case of the pensions, the quantum of benefit you're going to receive as your pension is dependent on the total number of contributions you would have. Well, not dollar value of contributions per se, the number of contribution points, credits that you will have accumulated during your working life that will determine the quantum of your salary you're going to receive as your pension. So it is more important to pay contributions than to just have a Social Security card. So a lot of self-employed persons have traditionally come on board, they register. Some of them start to pay and they abandon ship along the way and never turn back. Sometimes when they come to you at the end of their working lives, it is too little, too late. And they come in sometimes with a boulot l'argent, saying, I want to pay now. But you cannot pay after the fact. You have to pay as you work, and as time goes by. And there is an ad on the radio, I'm not sure which insurance company I say. No insurance company will insure your property when a storm is coming. Yeah. You have to insure prior to, so that if and when something happens, you're covered. You cannot wait for anything happens for you to say, I want to do that. So don't wait until you get to 65 and say, well, I started paying, I can pay now, or go back how many years to pay back to make it good. Do that as you go along, because you don't know when something is going to happen to you, what is going to happen, and to what extent it's going to affect you.
And in doing so, Ivona, the intention is not just to meet the qualifying conditions, because oftentimes people ask, how much I need for a pension? Mm-hmm. So the intention is not just to meet the minimum. While the minimum is 500, it is not always going to be 500. Right. Because as the system is aging, Ivona, as more and more people contribute to the system, Social Security is not static. And so we would have to do revisions at a certain point in time, and it may not always be 500 contribution required. So the intention is to pay as much as possible for as long as possible while you're working, all the time while you're working, to contribute to the system, so that when you get there, when it is time for you to claim for that benefit, you will get as much from the system as you can get.
I have a question here for the staff who are here with me. Mm-hmm. Taking into consideration that people are living longer today, there are some people who probably have benefited like 20, 25 years from Social Security. Do you all take that into account, and what plans do you have in terms of how do you deal with that aspect of our lives?
The fact is, Social Security is supposed to be, the system is supposed to exist in perpetuity, indefinitely, until the last surviving contributor receives his or her share of benefit from the system. And so there are certain, you can say, checks and balances built into the law that requires that every 3 years an actuarial evaluation is done of the system to look at what is happening with the system, in terms of what is the population dynamics operating the system, how many people are working and contributing, how many people are currently receiving pensions, what is the age profile of the pensioners, what is happening in the economy, all of those kind of things. And they make those assessments and they make recommendations and projections to Social Security, to the government that passes the laws that govern how Social Security operates, to ensure that the system can be sustainable for the next 60-year horizon. But also while you're doing that, to ensure sustainability, they're also making recommendations to ensure relevance of the system, that what the system is offering makes sense to people, that they will want to participate, knowing that what they get from the system at the end of the day will make sense to them. So there are challenges because a lot of things are changing. We have people living longer. We have an aging population where more and more people are approaching retirement age. We have lower fertility rates. We have people having fewer children nowadays. So we have challenges that maybe in the long run, we may not have young people to work to support the payment of benefits to older folks. And that is why maybe it was necessary to increase the age so that people can stay in the workforce longer, because there may come a time when even there is work to be done, you may not have young people to take up those jobs. And you have migration as well that takes place, and all of those things affecting the number of persons who are available contributing. So these are challenges that the system faces, but with the triennial actuarial evaluations that are done, they see what's happening, they make recommendations so we can make changes in a timely manner, changes that are meant to ensure sustainability and continued relevance, and avoid having to take drastic measures when it is much later. And that is why we had increased the pensionable age from 60 to 65 over 10 years, increasing by 6 months every year, and the contribution rate had to go up by 0.25% every year to realize a 5% increase after 20 years. And we are nearing the end of that period, but every year when we remind people that it's going up by 0.25%, people are up in arms. But these are necessary measures that we need to do to ensure that the system remains sustainable, relevant, but also to ensure intergenerational equity as well, that those of us who are there now do not enjoy high benefits and our children and grandchildren have to probably enjoy less benefit, pay higher contributions, pay for longer periods and all of those kinds of things. So we're taking measures early so that current contributors can start contributing to the sustainability, while future contributors will need to also support the sustainability of the system, because it is just for the benefit of everybody who participates in it.
All right, the Dominica Social Security program on secure yourself, secure your family, register with the Social Security, but not just register. I mean, as Augusta City was saying, some will have the cards, they flash the cards, but that's it,
Yes.
and they do nothing really about the card.
Yes. So as we say, it's the payment of contributions, Ivona, that guarantees you access to those benefits, because all the benefits we offer, they have specific number of contributions that you need for you to be able to access that benefit. So while it's important, yes, you register with Social Security, it's more important for you to make those contributions on a regular basis, make them consistently all the time while you're working, you make those contributions. If you're an employee, you ensure that your contributions are being paid by your employer. If you are self-employed, you ensure that you make those contributions on your own behalf. And in instances where you are neither but you're a voluntary contributor, perhaps you're out of Dominica and you will once contributing to the Social Security system, you want to continue to enhance the benefit that you will get in the long term, you can register as a voluntary contributor to continue to contribute to the system.
Let's go to the telephone. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm here to give a personal testimony of
Sure.
the Social Security has helped me.
Go ahead.
Okay, I worked for about 20 years with the government of Dominica, the private sector, and quasi-government through the roles of City Council. During those years, I made my regular contribution to Social Security up until June of 2024. When I was diagnosed with a debilitating sickness which made me incapable of performing my duties as a civil engineer. So I had to turn to the Social Security, and for the first year, for about 6 months, I got my monthly salary from the Dominica Social Security. For the other 6 months, through leave I had accrued at my last place of employment, I got another 6 months salary. Presently, on a 40% pension from the Dominica Social Security, 40% of my last salary. One may say that my contribution to Social Security was mandatory, but I recall my late dad, who died a few months ago, said that he estimated that his total contribution to Social Security had expired over a few months. However, he continued getting an annual monthly pension from the Social Security, a decent pension from Social Security for about 19 years until he passed recently. The thing is that no one knows what the future holds, and to be insured if an institution can only consider a good thing. And I would like to encourage everyone between the ages of 18 and 60 to make their monthly contribution to the Dominica Social Security. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And you alluded to the fact that your late dad got benefit for about 19 years. Dr. Lafleur was asking for people with benefits for over 40 years to some people.
Wow.
Because we have people who are in their hundreds and they're getting their benefits still. And once you qualify at the material time, when you get to the age, the benefit has to be paid to you until you die. Okay. And upon your death, if you leave behind a spouse or children, well, most times if you're that old, you may not have a young child, but you could have a disabled child. That child can continue to get benefit for an extended period of time. So there is no telling how much you get out of the system. I don't think there's any better investment you can make than to participate in Social Security. And even if, God forbid, you may not live to enjoy it, you can die in peace knowing that you contributed to this welfare of your fellow men. Yeah. Because if you did not die and you live long, the contributions of other people in the system would help support the benefit that you would be receiving over an extended period of time, because after 2 or 3 years you will have gotten back everything you had paid in yourself, and what you continue to enjoy will be coming from what is in the pool contributed by other people. Let us not just think of ourselves. I think sometimes we can become too self-centered, too selfish. What is in it for me? But let us recognize that when we do this, all of us in it together for the benefit of all of us, and some of us may not benefit as much. But if we have a need, when we have a need, the system will be there for us as it is for everybody. We mustn't grow somebody that probably is benefiting to a large extent and we have not, because unless and until our earning ability is disrupted or affected by one of those risks that we cover, Social Security will not yet need to give us anything. But trust me, if and when something happens, as it will at some point or the other in our lifetime, we know, we are guaranteed that we'll be able to access a benefit from the system. Nobody can deny you that benefit because you will have earned it as a matter of right, because you will have made your contributions.
And so, Ivona, that is why at Social Security we are so passionate about what we do. When we hear those kinds of testimonials from our beneficiaries, Ivona, we take pride in what we do at Social Security. And we won another radio program some time back, and one pensioner called to say that Social Security is her lifesaver, her miracle, Ivona. When we hear those words, it just continues to encourage us to continue to serve the public as we are doing at Social Security. A pensioner also told us some time back that you can put your pot on the fire, knowing that and have nothing to put in it, but by the time you come back, there will be that pension from Social Security that can help you to buy what you need to cook a decent meal. So Social Security is here, Ivona, to do what our mandate says that we should do. This promise that we give to the public, we deliver on it every day excellently. We do it to the best of our ability. We encourage, when we get those criticisms, to encourage us to do better. But we say what we say we will do, that's what we do. Mm-hmm. So every month, our pensioners get their benefits on time. They get it early. They get it sometimes, and they don't even know if it's there yet because they didn't expect it to come at this time. So we continue to deliver on the promise, on the mandate of what we exist to do, and that is to pay benefits, to provide income replacement to our insured persons when those things happen to them in the stage of their life. Because social protection is a fundamental human right, and Social Security is there to deliver on that promise.
I'm there to testify to say that, well, it's always on time. Yes. I just go and I check my credit union account and it's there already. And I can testify to that. It's always on time.
Yes.
Never late.
Yeah. Yes. And it actually is early. It actually is early because when I check the calendar, we have the calendar that we issue annually to indicate to pensioners when their pensions will be accessible in their accounts. In the case of fortnightly paid pensioners, the pension is accessible in their account during the first week of the particular fortnight.
It comes before because I follow my calendar as well.
Yes. And for the monthly paid pensioners, the benefit is in their account the penultimate week before the last Saturday of the month. So for November, the last Saturday of the month will be next Saturday. Monthly pension for November in people's accounts as we speak now.
Yeah.
So you're getting it even before it is before the end of the period for which it is due.
Yeah.
So that invariably by the time a person passes on, we pay you up to the end of the 29th of November already, and you die today, you die next week before the 29th of November. We would have overpaid because a dead person doesn't have a need, a dead person must receive benefit. We have to recover the payment for the last few days past your date of death that we would have paid into your account before you actually died. I like to tell people it's nice when a person gets paid monthly. We pay them up to next Saturday and they choose to die on Sunday next week. Or even the following Monday. But because by the time the next monthly cycle comes around, the person will have died, so we have nothing to pay the person, we have nothing to recover from the person. But when the person dies in the middle of the week, in the middle of the cross week or whatever, you have to recover some more money because a dead person doesn't have a need. Yeah. And family members need to understand that and don't figure, well, and when your loved one dies, you need to inform us as soon as possible so that we can stop the benefit.
I think we should continue that program next time,
Which one?
Exactly what we're doing right now, the testimonials.
Yes,
I think
the
next time we can continue this.
Yeah.
So much came from this, and I'm also happy that quite a few men called as well.
Indeed.
In fact, only men called today. Yeah. Very, very interesting. I don't want to rush you. I wish we had some more time. We have an outside broadcast.
That's okay.
Okay, that's understandable.
That's understood.
Father Reggie, I enjoyed your testimonial.
Thank you, my dear.
You know what you're about, man, what you're involved in.
Yes.
You have done your homework.
Yes.
I did.
Right. And I want to say a few of his colleagues from the clergy followed his example.
Yes, that is so true.
Continued paying. Some of them are enjoying their pension. Some of them, the younger ones are still paying. Because as priests, they're not deemed to be employees per se.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although we need to revisit that, and maybe the parish that engages them where they serve in public could take the responsibility to cover them. It's something maybe we need to have to raise in the church hierarchy. But so they, as diocesan priests, had to take care of themselves so that when they get to the point where Father Reggie is now, they have access to something.
All right.
Yeah.
Powerful testimonial. Thanks again, all of you.
Most welcome.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
We'll be back
Good.
next month, to God's willing.
God willing, next month we should be here again.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
Secure yourself, secure your family. Register with Social Security. Make sure your employers pay, cause some of them do melee. Make sure they pay your